tying up another wet fly from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is the Dusty Miller. It is very similar in regards to the number of materials in this and the simplification and tying it to another fly I did a video on called the Loyal Sock. This simply has a wool body, or you could do dubbing for the body, and a wing, a matched wing, and a collared hackle instead of a throat. And that's it. So if you're wanting to tie some wet flies and get into it, this is a nice little one to tie a number of them up to work on getting your skills down. I also think this would be an excellent little panfish fly for the waters that are around me this time of year. So that's the Dusty Miller. I'll go ahead and get started tying. So I'm going to start the Dusty Miller with my hook on the vise. This is a Mustad 3399 in a size 6. I'm going to debarb the hook. I'm going to attach my thread. The body on the Dusty Miller is just some wool. I'm using wool. You can use dubbing, a grayish, kind of a gray-blue wool. A lot of times it's called, referred to as a dun color, a blue, but there's different hues and different types of what people call dun, D-U-N. There's all gray, but then there's some that are a bluish gray, and then they can be light or dark and so on and so forth. But anyway, here nor there, I don't want to use a black thread on the base here because it'll darken it up. So I'm using a Danville 70 denier in white to start out with. I've already got some wax on my thread. I'm going to attach this about an eye length behind the eye of the hook and advance my thread down to just about the end of the hook, kind of between the point of the hook and the barb, not quite to the end. That's so that I can attach my yarn for the body, go down a few wraps, and then come back up. As I said, I'm just using a wool. This is actually not like a lamb's wool. This is an acrylic and hemp blend. It just had the nice gray-blue color that I liked, so I went ahead and got this, and that's what I'm going to use for this. This is a multi-strand. I'm going to use for this size hook all 4 strands in this, but if you wanted to, you could untwist that and just use 2 or 3, whatever, for the fly if you're on a smaller hook. I'm going to tie this in at the rear end here and advance my thread down a few wraps, securing that in. Then I'm going to come back forward and start to secure that down to the hook shank. I'm going to trim this the length of the body. A little more wax on my thread. And then I'm going to continue forward, wrapping that in and securing that to the hook shank for a nice base to the body. It'll be about an eye length from the eye of the hook. I'm going to untwist this as I wrap this in. If you wanted it a little bit thicker, you could leave it twisted. That's really up to you. I just wanted more of a nice smooth body. If you're going to use dubbing, you don't have to put a taper in it, just do a nice smooth level body. Trim away the wool and advance my thread forward. Now I'm going to attach my finishing thread. I'm using a 70 denier Danville in black. I've already got some wax on the thread. Attach my thread behind the eye of the hook. Then I'm going to advance rearward, catching in the white as well as the tag for the black, and then I can trim both of those away. Now, as I mentioned, the Dusty Miller is a really, really simple fly. It just is the body a wing, and a collared hackle. The wing is gray, and so is the hackle. I'm using some goose for this simply because of the size of the hook. A natural duck might be a little bit better because I think it's a lighter gray that's actually on this, but this is the gray that I have for the goose right here. But on a smaller hook, I'd probably use the duck. So I've got my right and left slips already cut out. I'll take the right one, put the left on top, matching the tips up there. I'll then take a look. The right one has a little bit more barbs in it, so I'll pull those out so that they're both an even width. You want them to be about the gap of the hook, maybe a little bit narrower. Keeping my tips even, I'm going to tie this in so the tips just go just a little bit, maybe a millimeter or two behind the bend of the hook. Secure those in with a little pinch and loop. A few wraps to make certain they're good and secure, and we'll take a look how that wing looks. I'll trim away the excess. We'll wax on my thread. I'm going to bring the thread down to the eye of the hook. Cleaning this up for that collared hackle. It's just a hen hackle that I'm going to put in here from a whiting American hen neck. It's a little bit longer. Actually, this is probably a hen saddle. Yeah, it is. This is a hen saddle. It gives me a nice long feather right here. I'm going to use right about the middle section here. The barbs are too short here and too long there. So, and I'm only going to put in a couple wraps. These wet flies, generally, if they have a collar, it's not a real big, thick, bushy collar. Trim away the upper half, give myself a little anchor. I'm going to wrap that in with a few wraps, getting my thread down towards the eye of the hook. And then, as I said, I'm just going to put probably 2 wraps in here. There's one. There's the second one. And that's really about all I need for the collar on this. I'm going to sweep that back, advancing my thread down the hook shank, trapping in those barbs and just making the head of the fly here. I can pop away the rest. I'm going to put a little bit of wax on my thread. The head on this is kind of steep because I went a little bit too far forward with that yarn. But that's all right. We can make this work. Just take your time with it. I'm going to flatten out my thread and put in my whip finish. Put some head cement on this, a little bit of fly tight. Soak down in, securing all of those. And then I'll come back and I'll put a couple of layers of clear lacquer on it and a layer of black to finish it off. Yeah, that head, the body just went a little bit too long, millimeter or so. And as you can see, it's even kind of crowding the eye just a little bit. I mean, it's still definitely fishable. If I were to want this as a framed fly or gift or something, I'd be tying another one. So we'll get that out. I got just a little bit exposed underneath there, but that black lacquer will cover that up. So once I get that done, the Dusty Miller will be done. It is a very, very simple fly to tie. You could do this in some other colors. I don't know that it would still be considered a Dusty Miller, but in my circles where I live, this would be an excellent little panfish fly for the fall. I think in the spring it'd probably do well too, but if you did this in some fluorescent colors or something a little bit brighter, I think that would work better in the spring. But that's the Dusty Miller. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.